Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm super excited about today's show because I got something to say. Yeah, I got something to say. So I'm going to say it. So yeah, thanks for being here. If you're here for the first time, I can be a little wacky. I'm going to admit it. But the key is that if you are so sick and tired of struggling with food and weight, you are in the right place. And hey, we've struggled for so long. We ought to laugh a little bit, right? It's time to lighten up. Lighten up. Good things are happening. Help is on the way. Hope is on the way. You don't have to struggle with food and weight. So I'm really happy to always check in with you. And I am recording this from the Secret Sauce group. If you're not in the Secret Sauce group, join us there. It's a Facebook group that's free but private. It's for emotional eaters and people who struggle with food and weight. And so you don't have to be a diagnosed emotional eater. You can just kind of say, you know what, I think there's something a little weird about the way I eat and the way I think about food too often. And so if that's the case for you, you are in the right place when you join us in the Secret Sauce group. So all you do is go to Facebook and type in the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, and we'll let you in. We're so happy to have you there. But that's where I record these shows so that we can keep the conversation going. I can hear from you, because on a podcast, it's kind of one-sided. But when you're in the Secret Sauce group, then we can have a little discourse and I can get to know you. So please join us there on Facebook. It'd be great to have you. And also, please review this show. Give us 5 stars. Yes, we'd love a 5-star review. And please share it with other people. Let people know that, hey, you don't have to be beating your head against the wall with diets. You can actually go deeper. You can actually heal the underlying causes of emotional eating so that you feel free around food. You feel normal around food. You feel in control around food without exerting any control whatsoever. Isn't that cool? That's what we have for you at Heal Your Hunger. So yeah, hey, on with the show. Let's do this. So I want to share with you a little kind of observation I've been having, and I think is really, really important to really highlight for you on your journey to heal emotional eating. So I had an experience, and we'll get right into it. I had an experience the other day where I just posted something on my personal post. I posted, about just a fun party I went to recently. And somebody used that as she used my post as a forum for kind of stating how she feels about COVID and vaccines and all this kind of thing. And that had nothing to do with my post. I mean, I mentioned that we were, the party was a safe party, but she just decided to, weigh in about her thoughts on COVID, which I did not ask for. And the post was not about. And I had this moment, where I thought, I don't really want that on my Facebook post. Like, this is my personal post. I'm just sharing about friends and a good time, a beautiful, wonderful evening. Like, why spoil it with some, all this stuff, the stuff that I don't really want to get into. If I want to get into it, I'd talk about it and invite somebody to comment about that, but I wasn't. So I wanted to delete it, just get it off of there. But then I thought, oh, but she's somebody I know. Like, she's somebody I know and consider a friend. I mean, very casually, but what do I do? Like, what do I do? And I was in this quandary, and I actually reached out to a couple of friends and, who have online, presences, and they gave me their opinions. But the bottom line is, I just realized I get to do what I want to do. Like, I don't have to keep that person's post there, and I don't have to put her feelings above my feelings. I mean, she's the one who kind of intruded on my post, and I didn't invite that. So I don't have to really worry about what she thinks. And I don't have to think that I'm doing something, wrong. I just don't want that, it's my post, me first. And that's really what I want to share about here, is as emotional eaters, we just have trouble putting ourselves first. And I still do this, you guys. I still do this. I run into this where I'm thinking, oh, but I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. And oh, I don't want to offend and yada, yada, yada. And then I remember, and this is the beautiful thing, is that all these years of healing from emotional eating, I mean, certainly are paying off because it happens more quickly each time. But I think all of a sudden, me first, and that's the message I have for you, is really, really putting yourself first, and not in a bad, selfish, egotistical way. As emotional eaters, we give ourselves away to people, don't we? I mean, we always put other people's, needs first, their feelings first. And I have to really catch myself, and even to this day, if I start to slip into that. And I teach this all the time to my clients. I mean, my clients are getting a good earful and they're learning, they're picking up on it, that they come first and they have to put themselves first. If we put ourselves first, then we have something to give other people. But if we're constantly giving ourselves away, and putting other people first and caring more about what they think than what we think, guess what? We're going to be out of luck very quickly and we'll be overeating. So no obnoxious posts on my post. Okay. And I'm grateful to have made that decision. I just, it took me about 10 minutes, but I deleted it. Me first, not her feelings first, my feelings first, and if you know what I'm talking about, please put it in the comment section, because I'd love for you to, weigh in on this for sure. Pardon the pun. But, so much of the time as people pleasers, we don't put ourselves first. We put other people's needs first. And it's just so important that we turn that around so that we can be our own best advocate, and my experience with emotional eaters is we typically have trauma in our past, right? We have trauma, lots of it. And so often we weren't protected as children. Okay. We weren't protected. We weren't safe. And so much of our healing journey is about giving ourselves that safety. And, as kids, oftentimes we weren't safe and we didn't have an adult who was standing for us, right? We had a parent perhaps who was a rager or an alcoholic, and the other parent was just standing by in fear, probably, fear of making waves, and they didn't stand for us. Or we were sexually abused and we weren't protected by those who should have been protecting us. Things have happened to us and we weren't protected. And so we go through our lives with a feeling of being unprotected, but also not protecting ourselves. We took it as a kid and we continue to take it as adults, right? Putting other people's feelings first, letting people walk on us, letting people be mean to us, taking it, which is not right and causes a lot of overeating because we have to stuff it. If we take that stuff, we have to stuff it or say something or take action. And because we're people pleasers and we tend to hold back, oftentimes we don't do anything, we don't say anything, and we just stuff it. And that's what has to change. That has to change as emotional eaters. The healing journey is one of starting to speak up, say it, don't stuff it. So important, but it's not easy to do when we're people pleasers. And that's what my clients are learning how to do. They cheer each other on. They cheer each other on as they start stepping out, being bold, saying how they feel in a nice way. Say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean. So it's just really important that we start recognizing this people-pleasing tendency. I've talked about it recently on other podcasts, but it's so endemic to the emotional eater's experience, this need to please. And so I just am here to tell you that even though nobody stood for you as a kid, or chances are not in the way you needed them to. I mean, I had really good parents who loved me, but sexual abuse still happened. And, it happened, and it so easy. It so easily happens, even if parents are super present, it can happen, of course, under a parent's watch, unfortunately. But we didn't have people standing for us so much of the time. Adults who should have been there perhaps were checked out, with addiction, with self-concern, with, abandonment, leaving us and going and living another life. So we didn't have adults who really stood for us. And as adults, as emotional eaters, we need to learn to stand for ourselves. It's no longer up to anybody else but us. And so much of the time in our adult life, we have not stood for ourselves. We made decisions that were repeats of the same pattern of giving ourselves away. And so I'm here to talk to you about standing for yourself and really taking care of yourself in whatever situation is called upon, it calls for it. And in my case, it was just deleting a stupid post. It wasn't a big deal. It's a comment, but it was a big deal, right? Because I got to say me first. And every time I say me first, like what I think of me is more important than what you think of me. I grow a little stronger and I build some self-esteem, every single time. There's a great saying that my dad used to say. I love my dad. He died 20 years ago, but he used to say, I'd rather be pissed off than pissed on, which I love. Thank you, Daddy. That was awesome. I'd rather be pissed off than pissed on. I love that because we really need to just stand for ourselves and let other people have their feelings. So the title of my talk is What Sticks to You, Yours. And on the same theme that I'm talking about, I want to talk about not taking on other people's stuff. And this is how we stand for ourselves, by not taking other people's stuff on, by being our own advocate, and not taking things personally. And this can only happen when we realize that we're worthy beings, and that we're okay. And so, and we become, we grow that feeling of worthiness when we don't take other people's stuff on. So it works both ways, right? We don't take other people's stuff on and we grow in a sense of worthiness. And then as we grow in worthiness, we stop taking things on. We don't take other people's stuff. Okay. We don't take their shit. Right. Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a book called The Four Agreements. And one of those agreements is don't take things personally. But in order to not take things personally as emotional eaters, we have to start standing for ourselves. We have to start remembering that we're good and we're worthy, and we deserve to take up just as much space as anybody else. Hopefully not too much space. We want to shrink, shrink, but grow at the same time. Shrink, but grow. We want to grow in self-worth. We want to grow in self-esteem. We want to grow in the belief that we matter and that we don't have to take other people's shit. So we do this by just, one step at a time, being good to ourselves. Self-care is a big part of it. If we're overeating, we're basically affirming that we're no good and we don't matter. Okay. It's hard to have self-esteem, and to stand for yourself when you're simultaneously beating yourself up with food. And so the first act of self-care, the first act of standing for yourself is to get help with emotional eating. Get help. Don't go on another diet where you're just, working against yourself, working to force your body into some unnatural state. Get support to deal with emotional eating, to clear out the things that are blocking you so you can feel free, so you can feel self-loving. Okay, so that's the first thing. If we're beating ourselves up with food, if we're in the food, if we're every night like eating sugar and carbs and feeling gross, how worthy are we going to feel? of standing tall in our lives, not so worthy. So it starts with us, and we can't expect other people to treat us well when we're not treating ourselves well. As within, so without. So I'm just going to say, you got to face your food stuff. It's hypocritical to say, I want to be taken seriously when we're beating ourselves up with food. You have to take yourself seriously. You have to put yourself first before you can expect other people to treat you with respect. You have to respect yourself. So really, really important. But beyond that, I just want to say that, not taking things personally is so important, because people have their stuff. They have their stuff, and it doesn't have anything to do with you so much of the time. Of course, if it does, it does. You got to deal with it. But what's really important to know is that if other people are, being obnoxious, if other people are, taking their stuff out on you, you don't have to take it on. You don't have to take it on. And my experience is the more we're dissing ourselves, the easier it is to let other people diss us. So when we start, acting with self-respect, when we start loving on ourselves, it's easier to say no to other people when they're not loving toward us. As within, so without. It all starts with us, you guys. It all starts with us. So just an important message I wanted to share with you. I've more and more in my life have started to say me first. Stop wondering if we're hurting other people's feelings. Again, if you are, deal with it. But the obsession with putting people first, because we don't want to offend, we don't want anybody to have any bad feelings when they're around us. Let people have their stuff. If you're being kind, in your life, if you're clean in your relationships, if other people have problems with you, it's their problem. It's their problem. It's their loss too. It's another thing I'm starting to tell myself. If somebody has an issue with me, I'm like, their loss, their loss. I don't have to take it on. I don't want stuff to stick to me anymore if it's not mine. And I don't want you to either. So that's my message. It's short and sweet. Is what sticks to you yours? Probably not. But if you have undealt with stuff inside, you're gonna let that stuff stick to you. So face your emotional eating, face what's inside of you, so you're no longer so sticky, and live in freedom. And you deserve that for sure. And get support to do it. This is not easy stuff. That's why all my programs are group programs, because the women just support each other and cheer each other on, because it's hard stuff, changing our ways, our habits, our lifetime of people pleasing. So I hope that's helpful. Sending you so much love, short and sweet. Let it go. Don't take other people's stuff on. Be sweet to yourself. Stand for yourself. Respect yourself. And then you wouldn't be caught dead with anybody who doesn't respect you. Signing off. Love you so much. Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.